Enzo Ferrari created his biggest competitor in the worst way possible. He insulted a customer, not just any customer, a tractor mechanic who happened to own multiple Ferraris and knew exactly how they were built. That customer spent 4 months building a prototype specifically to humiliate Ferrari, and it worked. But here's what nobody tells you. That same tractor mechanic lost everything. Not because his cars were bad, because he made one financial decision that destroyed both of his companies. And that decision? It's the same mistake I see founders make today. This is the Lamborghini story. But not the version you've heard. Because the real lesson isn't about building great products. It's about how great products can't save terrible capital structure. Let's go back to 1946. Italy just lost World War II. The economy is destroyed. Currency is collapsing. There's mass unemployment and food shortages. And in the middle of this chaos, a 30-year-old mechanic named Ferruccio Lamborghini is starting a business. But he's not building cars. He's building tractors out of literal garbage. Here's how it worked. The Italian government is auctioning off surplus military equipment. Engines, parts, vehicles, everything left over from the war. Lamborghini shows up with his savings and buys a British Morris engine for almost nothing. Then he does something brilliant. He modifies it with a fuel atomizer so it can start on gasoline but run on diesel. Diesel is way cheaper in post-war Italy. Then he uses a smaller frame and salvage parts from other military vehicles to build the entire tractor. This is the first move that matters. While competitors are buying expensive new engines, Lamborghini is reverse engineering war surplus and selling tractors at half the price. But here's the part that's crazy. His margins are higher than everyone else's. Because he controls the entire supply chain. He's not buying parts from suppliers. He's building everything in-house. This is vertical integration at its most brutal. And it's why, by 1952, Lamborghini isn't just surviving. He's dominating. He's selling thousands of tractors per year. He's one of the wealthiest men in Italy. And then in 1953, something happens that changes the entire trajectory. The Italian government starts offering subsidized loans to farmers who buy Italian-made machinery. Lamborghini's tractors now qualify because he's using his own engines. His competitors using foreign engines? They don't qualify. This isn't luck. This is strategic positioning paying off years later. By 1960, Lamborghini Trattori is one of the largest tractor manufacturers in Italy. Lamborghini is rich enough to buy multiple Ferraris, Maseratis, Mercedes, Jaguars. And this is where the entire story turns, because Lamborghini keeps having the same problem with his Ferrari 250 GT. The clutch fails, constantly. At high speeds, he takes it to Ferrari, they fix it, it fails again. So Lamborghini does what any engineer would do. He brings the Ferrari to his tractor factory and tells his mechanics to rip it apart. And what they find is insane. The clutch in his Ferrari is the exact same clutch in his tractors. Same manufacturer, same part, different price. $10 for the tractor clutch, $1,000 for the Ferrari clutch. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Most people would just be angry and move on. Lamborghini actually goes to Enzo Ferrari's office to help him. He's not trying to start a fight. He genuinely thinks he's doing Ferrari a favor. He walks in and says, "Your cars have a design flaw. I fixed it. Here's how you can improve." And Enzo Ferrari's response is one of the most expensive mistakes in business history. He tells Lamborghini to stick to making tractors and let him handle sports cars. Now here's what's actually happening in this conversation. Ferrari isn't just being arrogant. He's protecting his brand positioning. Ferrari's entire business model is built on mystique, the idea that only Ferrari understands performance, that Ferrari customers should feel privileged to own a Ferrari. Accepting technical criticism from a tractor manufacturer destroys that positioning. But Lamborghini sees something else. He sees that Ferrari is using brand mystique to cover for engineering shortcuts. And that's exploitable. So, in 1963, Lamborghini founds Automobili Lamborghini. But here's the strategic decision that most people miss. He's not trying to build a Ferrari competitor. He's trying to make Ferrari's entire value proposition irrelevant. Think about the positioning. Ferrari sells racing pedigree and speed, but they treat customers like garbage. If your car breaks, that's your problem. Lamborghini is going to sell speed, luxury, and actual customer service. Ferrari acts like you should be grateful to own their car. Lamborghini is going to treat you like a client who paid 6 figures. This is differentiation, not just better product. Better business model around the same customer. And then Lamborghini does something even smarter. He recruits Ferrari's best engineers. Giotto Bizzarini, Franco Scaglione, Gianpaolo Dallara. These aren't just good engineers. These are the people who know exactly how Ferrari builds cars and exactly where the compromises are. Then Lamborghini gives them 4 months to build a prototype. This is absolute insanity. Developing a new car usually takes years. Lamborghini wants it done in 4 months. Why? Because the Turin Motor Show is in November 1963, 4 months away, and Lamborghini wants to debut his car at the same show where Ferrari is presenting. This is spite as a business strategy, so his team works around the clock, and they finish the car. Except for one major problem. The engine isn't ready. Most people would delay the launch, wait until everything is perfect. Lamborghini makes a different call. He tells his engineers to fill the engine bay with bricks to simulate the weight. And they keep the hood locked during the entire show. This is one of the most audacious bluffs in automotive history. And it works. The car looks so good, nobody even asks to see the engine. 5 months later, the 350 GT goes into production. V12 engine, 5-speed transmission, 4-wheel disc brakes, independent suspension. It's a legitimate technical masterpiece. And the customer service promise? Lamborghini actually delivers. When a Lamborghini breaks down, the company sends a mechanic at their own expense, even by plane if necessary, plus a letter of apology. Ferrari would never. But here's the thing, the 350 GT was good, but it wasn't the car that beat Ferrari. Because while Lamborghini is focused on grand touring cars, his engineers are working on something else, at night, in secret, a mid-engine sports car. Now, Lamborghini specifically told them not to build this. He hates racing. He crashed in the 1948 Mille Miglia and refuses to enter the racing world again. But his engineers ignore him. They keep working on it anyway. And when Lamborghini finds out, he almost kills the project. But then he sees the design. And he realizes something. Even if he doesn't want to race, the design is so radical it'll bring massive attention to the brand. This becomes the Lamborghini Miura. And this is the moment that changes everything. The Miura isn't just a better car than Ferrari. It makes Ferrari's entire design philosophy look outdated. Mid-engine layout, transverse V12, performance that destroys anything Ferrari is making. When it launches in 1966, it becomes the fastest production car in the world. And it becomes the world's first supercar. Not just faster, not just more advanced, a completely new category. Ferrari is forced to completely redesign their product roadmap. Lamborghini didn't just compete. He forced Ferrari into a defensive position, and here's where the narrative usually ends. Tractor guy insults Ferrari, builds better car, wins. But that's not what happened, because Lamborghini won the product war and lost the business war. And the reason why is something most people completely miss. By the early 1970s, Automobili Lamborghini is struggling. Production delays on the Countach, rising development costs, quality control issues. But the bigger problem is that Lamborghini is expanding too aggressively. He's running 2 companies, tractors and cars, and he's financing both with debt. The strategy is to use future revenue to pay back loans and keep expanding. This works as long as revenue keeps growing, but then something happens that destroys everything. The Bolivian government orders 5,000 tractors. This is massive. This order alone would boost Lamborghini Trattori to entirely new heights. So Lamborghini takes out huge loans to scale production. He's hiring more workers, buying more equipment, building more tractors. Then Bolivia has a military coup. The contract is canceled, just like that. Lamborghini is now sitting on warehouses full of tractors he can't sell and loans he can't repay. This is the moment that matters. Because this is where you see the difference between product excellence and business discipline. Lamborghini built incredible products, both tractors and cars. But he financed both businesses assuming growth would continue forever. When one revenue stream collapsed, the whole structure failed. In 1972, he's forced to sell 51% of Automobili Lamborghini just to stay afloat. In 1973, he sells the entire tractor business to a competitor, the company he built from war surplus, the company that made him wealthy, gone. And then the worst possible thing happens. The 1973 oil crisis. Gas prices skyrocket. The global economy goes into recession. Nobody wants to buy gas-guzzling supercars during an economic crisis. Ferrari suffers, Porsche suffers, Maserati suffers, but they have the financial reserves to survive. Lamborghini doesn't. In 1974, Ferruccio Lamborghini sells his remaining 49% and walks away from the company entirely. Think about this. He proved his point. He built cars better than Ferrari, but he couldn't build a business that survived a market downturn. This is the lesson nobody talks about. Competitive advantage isn't enough. You need sustainable competitive advantage, and sustainability isn't about product, it's about capital structure. After Lamborghini left, the company almost died. 1978, forced into liquidation. 1981, sold to two French billionaires for $3 million. They tried. They built the Yalpa. They built the LM002, Lamborghini's first SUV, but they ran out of money. 1987, sold to Chrysler for $25 million. Chrysler builds the Diablo, one of the most iconic cars ever made. First production car over 200 miles per hour, but Chrysler is drowning in its own financial problems. 1994, sold to an Indonesian investment group for $40 million. They have zero experience in the car industry. 1997, Asian financial crisis hits. They panic and sell. 1998, Audi buys Lamborghini for $110 million. And this is where everything changes. Because Audi understands something all the previous owners didn't. Lamborghini doesn't need to be profitable as a standalone company. It needs to be a halo brand for Volkswagen Group. They modernize manufacturing. German precision meets Italian design. 2001, Murcielago launches, then the Gallardo, then the Aventador, then the Huracan. All legendary, all profitable. But none of them saved Lamborghini. You know what did? The Lamborghini Urus. Released in 2018. This isn't a supercar, this is a luxury performance SUV. And car enthusiasts absolutely hate it. They say it's not a real Lamborghini, that it's selling out, that it betrays the brand. But here's the reality. The Urus is Lamborghini's best-selling vehicle ever. More than half of Lamborghini's production is now the Urus. It accounts for over 60% of revenue. The Urus is what made Lamborghini an $11 billion company. Because here's what enthusiasts don't understand. The Urus doesn't replace the supercars, it funds them. Without Urus profits, Lamborghini couldn't afford to develop the next Aventador or Huracan. This is the tension every luxury brand faces. Do you protect the purity of the product and stay small? Or do you expand into adjacent markets that fund the core business? Ferrari resisted SUVs for decades. They finally launched the Purosangue in 2022. Lamborghini got there first, and it saved the company. Today, Lamborghini sells over 10,000 vehicles per year. Ferruccio Lamborghini died in 1993. He never saw this. He spent his final years running a wine business, back to farming. And here's what I think about when I look at this story. Lamborghini beat Ferrari on product in 4 months, but he lost his company because of one bad financial decision. The Bolivia deal wasn't inherently stupid. Big orders are good, but financing it entirely with debt while also funding a luxury car company? That's the mistake. He had no buffer, no reserves, no plan for if something went wrong. And when something did go wrong, he lost everything. Meanwhile, Ferrari stayed independent until 2016. Not because Enzo was a better engineer, because he built a business that could survive downturns. So here's the real question. If Ferruccio Lamborghini had spent less time perfecting the Miura and more time building financial discipline, would he have kept the company? Or was spite the only thing that made Lamborghini possible in the first place? Because spite built the world's first supercar. But it didn't build a balance sheet. And in business, the balance sheet always wins.